Tuesday, January, maybe 26, 19, no, it's 2010. Here now the news. The big story today is Iraq. United States troops are patrolling the borders of Iraq, trying to keep out troublemakers coming in and outside agitators, stirring up a hornet's nest in a place that cannot be situated properly in the scheme which is ruminating through the minds of our political leaders and military brass. Iraq is an insoluble problem, more so even than Vietnam, where people might have had some interest in democratic reforms, even though they opted out of communism. In Iraq, there's no, in fact, I believe, if my understanding of the Quran is correct, democracy and Western-style government just isn't the cat's meow out there. They have a different way of doing things, trying to inflict our system on Iraqis, Iranians, Afghanistanis, Pakistanis, Egyptians, Syrians, Lebanese, Indonesians. These people operate under a different mindset than Westerners, even though they are considered, at least some of them, considered Westerners. The only thing the United States can do in Iraq is to take all the oil that it can spit on ships and pipelines and airplanes and stick it in the naval oil reserve up there in Alaska, or put it in a big old hamper. Maybe Obama should employ some people building some hampers for the oil. Take as much oil as we need out of Iraq. They got plenty of it. And to pay for the astronomical cost of this nonsense that W. Bush and Congress that was insane pushed America into. But with so many toys to play with, so many military and airplanes and bombs and missiles to dabble with, power corrupts, and Iraq will go down as the biggest boondoggle in American history, even if this country should last 1,000 millennia. Also in the news, Obama's getting ready for his State of the Union address with his tail between his legs. He's been roughed up pretty good by the neo-Nazi press, by the election results in Virginia, New Jersey, and Massachusetts, where Brown beat whatever her name is, Ogilvy or Copley Square. Marianne Copley. I'll tell you what, Obama, brother, this is what you ought to do. You ought to promote statehood for Haiti and statehood for Puerto Rico, and get your 4 new senators on the Democratic side so you can pass the health care so the babies won't get screwed. Poor babies, little black babies, little Rican babies, little babies coming over crossing the border in Mexico, and babies from China smuggled in, in the bottom of freighters and freight cartons, and everybody ought to have some sort of emergency care, at least catastrophic care. Meanwhile, the Democrats, along with Obama, are freaking out, and decided to throw the baby on the fire. And who needs health care after they wasted a whole year traumatizing the country by telling them they were going to get health care? Meanwhile, the doctor's offices are filled, and these guys, it's nothing more than quackery, pretty much. Everybody's on Vicodin anyway, so, what's the fuck? Why don't we just give out Vicodins to everybody? You won't need any health care. Because Vicodin cures everything, I suppose. If they only give you enough of it. Also, major news was the death of the great ham-bone actor of all time, the pompous but magnificent Pernell Roberts, who died at 81. Pernell's most famous for playing Adam Cartwright on Bonanza with his brothers Hoss and Little Joe, and his dad, what was it, Ben Cartwright, Lord Hambone Green. Imagine the scenes between the two biggest ham-bone actors who ever played on television. Lorne Greene and Pernell Roberts as the thoughtful son. Pernell was just a great, great actor, and his leaving Bonanza early on in the show's run was a real disaster for fans of acting like I was when I was a kid, and just loved watching Pernell Roberts. He also came back later on with the entertaining doctor show Trapper John M.D., which was ran quite a long time. I think it was on CBS. Pernell thought himself up as a Shakespearean, and his famous quote was that having him on a TV program was like Isaac Stern sitting in with the Lawrence Welk Band. Also joining the 250,000 Chinamen who died in the earthquake in Sichuan province, the 45,000 political enemies killed in Algeria, the 68,000 killed in Argentina, and the 97,000 killed in Chile, and the 47,000 killed in Cuba, and the 69,000 killed in Iran, and the 62 million killed in China, and the 27 million political enemies killed in the Soviet Union, was brash Bobby Bragan, who lasted until 92. Baseball fans will remember the famous scene where Bobby Bragan came out to argue ball and strike call with the home plate umpire, and he was zipping a container of juice, and he took it and took his chaw of tobacco and spit on the umpire's shoes. He was from the Leo DeRocha school of kicking dirt on the umpire's pants. Last I remember, he was the manager of the Milwaukee Braves, I think, and he might have managed the Colt 45s in the early days of the expansion teams in the National League. Bobby Bragan dead at 92, and the great Pernell Roberts, Adam Cartwright, and Trapper John M.D. dead at 81. And that's the news for tonight, Tuesday night. And I hope you're back tomorrow. Thank you for listening.